Welcome to the All the Hats We Wear podcast. I believe strongly that if you want a life that's joyful, productive, and fulfilling, you need to be wearing the right hats. My name is Scott Snow. I'm a life purpose coach, a productivity expert, a dad, a music therapist, a meditator, a world-class problem solver, and the founder of All the Hats We Wear, just to name a few of my many hats that I wear. After listening to this episode, start transforming your life by visiting my website, allthehatswewear.com. And the website has a free 1-hour video course that will help you identify your roles, clarify your many goals, uncover your mission, manage your large projects, and unleash your creativity. You're meant to do great things. Here are the skills you need to do them. I'd like to start with an interesting little question. What would you rather have, happiness or meaningfulness in your life? Do you want meaning or do you want joy and happiness? Now, of course, most people want both. They want it all. I've been reading a couple articles about this very question because it's very interesting to me. And what I learned was that happiness, of course, is an emotion, so that could be more temporary than the big, long-standing, long-term feel of something of meaning and a life of purpose. So I think it's pretty clear that if you can, it's better to strive for that life of meaning and life of purpose, because that is all the time, not just up and down with the happiness of when you can get it. So I discovered a couple ideas here, and my approach here today is really for an audience of one. And that's for me. I hate to say it, but I'm approaching this episode as notes and ideas that I can review in the car or on the treadmill or wherever I am. And so some of these ideas might be a little bit half-baked. They might not be finished and polished. And a lot of times I like to be inspired by the newspaper. I read a couple newspapers a day. So sometimes it takes a while for those ideas to incubate and to fully develop. And usually I would wait until they were fully developed to bring them here in the podcast, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to throw a lot of ideas out there, and whatever's helpful to you, then I'm so happy about that. But my real focus is to keep myself energized, keep my brain working, and incubating all of these creative ideas. And also, part 2 of this approach to the podcast today is really a behind the scenes of using the All the Hats We Wear system. You know, there's a bunch of modules. There's 5 modules in the free course that's on my website. And each of those has different routines and systems and concepts, and it's really kind of my life's work so far. So this will be kind of a behind the scenes, me digging into that lifestyle and that system 100% because I am patient zero. I know you probably think of a zombie movie when you hear that term, but really when you have a new idea and you develop it, then really you are patient zero. Now I'd like to talk about the concept of super ideas, because we all get ideas, but do you know, can you identify when you have a super idea? One that is really much better than the others, and how can we define it as being much better than the others? Well, I have a few ideas on this. One is that a super idea can constantly be improved, and you have, it's like a lifetime of opportunities to continue to refine that idea because it has such a strong base, a foundation. And this is what I found with my system, All the Hats We Wear. And really, when it comes down to it, it's just identifying the different hats you wear. And it sounds very simple. I actually have 21 roles that I've defined. And so this is just a way of approaching life like a composer. You know, a composer trying to compose a beautiful masterpiece would take all of the different themes and weave them together, coordinate, curate them, develop them, love them, and that's how you would create that masterpiece. So I'm taking kind of a musician's approach to a life purpose system. So here are some of my, what I would call, super ideas. Certainly the idea of identifying roles, which isn't even my idea at all. Actually, I got that inspiration and first idea from Tony Robbins' audio program, Time of Your Life. I certainly put my own spin on it, but I definitely got the idea from that workshop. Some of the other concepts in my course are mini mission statements. And this is like probably 4 or 5 sentences. For each hat or different role, there's a process I go through that creates a little mini mission statement where you're talking about why that role is so important. And it really, once you listen to it every day and you listen to all of your little mini mission statements recorded on your phone or whatever, then it regrounds you and reconnects you with the whys of why you're striving for that role. And it's really powerful. Also, the 7 stages of project management in my system, I think, is a super idea. What I did here was just thought back to a lot of different projects that I did successfully. And I said, what's a project I did that I was really proud of? And, could I define the different stages that I went through? And that's exactly what I did. And the 7 stages that I came up with are to identify the spark first, to do the gathering stage, stage 2, the brainstorm stage, with just a lot of questions, the structure stage, then the action stage, and the refining stage, and then the celebrate. So those are the 7 stages. Another idea I believe that is a super idea is the system I have for an audio journal, where you're capturing all those little moments during each day and then just blabbing about it on your phone. And I've done this for about 3 or 4 years consistently. I find it's really valuable to be able to look back and listen back, what were the most important 5 or 6 things of that day on any day. It's also very helpful to look up if for records or something, to go, oh, well, we had this meeting back in April 2 years ago, April 8th. So it's pretty cool. I wish I had started when I was 10 years old. That's probably my only big regret. Also, the Anarchy Capture Notebook, I believe, is a super idea. And I always have it nearby. Here is mine. It's like a sketchbook, a blank sketchbook. So whereas I used to use a 3-ring binder, 5-subject college rule, now I just use this. And I like to have the Anarchy symbol on there and the date. I do other little things to it, like cut off the corner. Once I do my audio journal for those days, I cut off the corner so I know those are done. So now I know these pages have not been done for the audio journal. But the idea behind the Anarchy Notebook is that you get your ideas out immediately. And when you do that, a few more ideas bubble up behind it. So it's really important to be able to not go through different tabs and different colors and markers and have any kind of steps at all other than just jot it down immediately. And that captures those ideas, whether they turn out to be decent ideas or maybe a super idea one day. But you've got to give it life by capturing it. Next, I'd like to talk about the importance of sequence. Even in my audio journal, one important step that if you don't know, you're going to miss a lot, is to be able to, let's say you're coming out of work and you've had a busy day at work. It's great to jot down in your Anarchy Capture Notebook the main moments, the snippets that you want to talk about, your bullet points, your talking points. I've always found that to give yourself some quiet time, I might have some music in the background actually, but it's usually kind of chill 80s pop music, kind of quietly in the background. And I'll just kind of reflect on the day, the main parts of the day, the highlights, the ups and the downs, and just jot down whatever I think up. Not too much detail, but enough that I'll be able to, know what to unspool when I dictate it. Because I've found that if I just hit record, if I'm out of work and I just hit record or whatever it is, then I don't get all the important things. I miss a lot. I go into detail about a few things, but I really miss 3 or 4 of the most important things. And those things you capture by kind of replaying the day in your mind. So very important to have that sequence. First, jot down the bullet points, and then next would be the dictation. Then after that would be, I call it the audio journal index, where you write those bullet points that you ended up talking about on paper so that you can refer to it later on. Another example of super ideas might be the template for groups. I'm a music therapist at a psychiatric hospital, and I also do support groups for All the Hats We Wear, so people can work on their goals or whatever technology and concepts related to All the Hats We Wear system. The template for a group, I think, is one of the most profound things you can do as a facilitator of a group. So things like, I might do a drum check-in, or I pass around a drum, like a tubano hand drum, for all of the group members, and they say how they're feeling in that moment and then represent that feeling in sound on the drum. So you don't have to be a famous drummer, you don't have to have any skill at all, but you're purposefully using music and your connection with music and expression to explore that, how you're feeling, put it in sound. So that's an example of an easy template beginning for a group. I've done things like musical storytelling, where we hand out a lot of percussion instruments, and the participants are in charge of providing those sound effects. So it might be, we're walking in the forest and I hear some drums in the background. Then the people with drums play their drums. Then we heard a snake and someone with a shaker, rattles that. So that's an easy way. I also noticed that the better ideas kind of fire on all cylinders. Like a thing like the musical storytelling. Now that's helping the group members work on a whole bunch of different things: communication and interpersonal skills and expression, listening, being on task. So a lot of really good things, the leadership skills. It's a multi-layered, rich activity. Another thing that we like to do is some American Idol judging or Dancing with the Stars judging, where we'll show a video clip and everybody has a judge's sheet and they do their adjudication, a 1 to 10 scale, on a couple different areas, music skill, fashion, and star power, let's say. And this is another great super idea. One more that I used when I was working at the nursing home is a dice. It was about a, an 8-inch dice, cardboard box, and it had pictures on each side of the dice, and people just rolled the dice to choose the next song. It might be Elvis, it could be Doris Day, it could be the Beatles, whatever. So that was an idea we could just keep using over and over again. Ideas don't just have to be complex. Simple pleasures can be just as valuable. I remember at the psychiatric hospital years ago when I was in my internship, and the Monday morning, we had a Monday morning meeting with everyone. Everyone got in a huge circle, and then we just kind of reviewed the weekend. I always look forward to that. And one man was asked, what was the highlight of your weekend? He says, well, I tried some of that blue Pepsi this weekend. And that always struck me because it seemed like such a silly thing to say, but that was the highlight of his weekend, So those simple small things can be valuable. This summer, I'm thinking of making it a tiki summer. So investigating all the different tiki cocktails and some cups and, just get into the vibe, the music, and have fun with it. Sometimes I think miso soup or like a wonton soup, when a soup is so good, it's like I could just have this and be so happy just with this soup. I have a simple newsletter that I started at work called We Be Jammin'. And this is just another simple idea that just keeps giving every week. And, it might be what is music therapy. It could be an example of songwriting that people did. It could be some work that an individual did or a breakthrough or what we're working on. It could be anything. I'm also working on a book called The Cookbook. It has nothing to do with cooking food, but this is a collection of activities, like an opening, a middle section, and a closing for a typical music-focused group. So I'm putting together all of these materials. Another simple idea that I'm looking forward to is the Halloween 100 movie countdown. In years past, I love Halloween. I love horror movies, so I always did a 50 movie countdown. And this year I said, there's no reason for me not to do 100. So I figured it out. I think it was mid-July, I think is 100 days from Halloween. So I'm going to do that. So then with a great simple idea, you also have people are suggesting ideas, you're connecting, you're planning it, and it's just fun. So a simple idea can also be a super idea. Of course, I talk a lot about life purpose, and uncovering your life purpose is a big thing, and working every day to be focused on that life purpose. So one thing that I came to is that I believe for sure that all the hats we wear system and business is my purpose. No doubt in my mind. But when I'm honest, I don't think that the world is responding or receiving it as much as I would like. Of course, I want everyone to do it. I want it to be the next huge thing, not for my own personal riches, but just because I think it's good. And I think it would help a lot of people. It would help the world for sure. So that's the question. Is it still a purpose if it's not commercially as successful as you want it to be? Or maybe you're just not at that point yet. I believe yes, it is still your purpose. It's still important that you're doing it, and you're still contributing. So I say yes, even if your purpose is not as commercially successful as you want in this moment, it's absolutely still worth pursuing. I often think about retired people because in this system of all the hats, in a purpose, a life of purpose, sometimes I think a lot of retirees are proud to be in the kind of happiness pursuit as compared to the meaningful or purpose pursuit. Because you start to think, well, of course, you've worked your whole life. You deserve to have a rest and, relax. But also, I don't think I would be able to just sit and do things for myself. I would want to be somehow contributing to humanity. So if you have that purpose, you can do that all the time. How are you helping others? Or are you just having a great day that you've scheduled for yourself? Again, there's no real answer. These are just questions that I'm kind of stumbling over and questioning myself. I'd like to end with a concept I've been thinking about, and that is actually a quote from Halloween 4 with Michael Myers. And his crazed Dr. Loomis said, quote, "You're talking about him as if he were human. That part of him died years ago." So sometimes when you have your purpose, like I feel I do with all the hats, you just in the normal course of living, you hear phrases that make you think something different. Maybe that phrase could apply to something bigger. And this is how I think of that. You're talking about him as if he were human. That part of him died years ago. To me, this speaks to the idea in identifying your roles, identifying your hats, as what I call placeholder roles. These are future roles. Maybe they're, you want to be able to think big. And so an example might be philanthropist for me. Now, am I going out to the black tie events and going to the galas in New York City and hanging out with all the billionaires? No. But I can certainly dedicate my time. I can dedicate my company of what I'm trying to do, my pursuit, my blog posts, my social media, my podcast messages, my books, my deck that I'm recreating, a deck of 68 cards that walk you through the system of all the hats. So these are all things that I'm doing actively to support my purpose to share it. Although I'm officially not being a philanthropist or a millionaire right in this moment, you still are acting in the way that you are. Act as if. You assume that role and then start to pull together the experiences and the evidence, as they say in Atomic Habits, that you start to adopt that identity because you have evidence to support it. In terms of, self-development, I think maybe moving from one role to another, you have to discard that old role. You have to let that part of you kind of die in a way, or be reborn into something new, something fresh, something better. And I think that's what makes me think of that Michael Myers or Dr. Loomis quote. You're talking about him as if he were human. That part of him died years ago. So what parts are you moving into that are different? How are you transforming in your roles? I'd like to hear your stories of roles that you have transformed out of and what roles you're interested in moving into. How do you see yourself in another couple years? What roles will you have then, hopefully, that you don't have now? Maybe you want to be a supervisor of something, or maybe you want to have your own business. These are the things to start planning for now and adopt that identity right now so that you have your path towards that role. Well, I thank you for spending time with me. I look forward to hearing from you about the roles that you are transforming out of and the roles that you are transforming into. Let me know on social media, and please make sure to check out my website for more information on all the hats we wear. Start transforming your life by visiting my website, allthehatswewear.com. That website has a free 1-hour video course that will help you identify your roles, clarify your goals, uncover your mission, manage large projects, and unleash your creativity. We'll see you at the website, allthehatswewear.com.